Welcome to another episode of Nerds with a Creative Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Charlie Morris, joined as always by my co-host,
Dalton Lewis. Welcome back to another episode, ladies and gents. Today we're here at a limited edition episode, if you will.
It feels like a very special episode. And
Very
I don't know if
special.
I can say exactly why it feels that way. It just feels that way.
Well, for starters, limited edition because that camera, we got three of them.
Oh my gosh.
I just did the Sean Evans.
We've done, dude.
I did the Sean
You
Evans.
must feel great. I've been watching, went down a weird rabbit hole of Hot Ones interviews. In my word, that guy, I was watching for him more than anything else, actually.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So, genuine question I have for you.
Yes.
If you're on Hot Ones, how many wings do you think you're making it through?
I mean, I want to go into Gur man mode. No matter what, I won't quit. I cannot. I'm not a spicy food person though. I'm a bit of a wimp with it.
At what point do you think you would tap out and not be able to answer questions anymore?
I want to say I don't. I want to say I wouldn't stop, but I would just have to be. I'd have to be in the zone.
I want to say that I would make it to the Explain That Graham segment, but also I don't know that I would.
Yeah, because that's when it starts getting spicier. I feel like is when they get to that segment. Yeah, I do know that milk is going to be gone. They're going to refill that thing 5 times when I'm there, and then I'm going to vomit after.
For sure.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hire Nerd Creative Agency for all your creative needs. We've got photography, videography, web design, social media, and so much more. Call us today at 1-800-I don't get paid enough for this.
After a quick audio adjustment, we're back.
Yeah, a nice commercial break.
Yeah. Well,
Except we don't get paid to advertise commercials.
Vinny, put a fake advertisement in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so
What's new, buddy?
what's new? What are we doing?
No, I'm asking you. I asked you first.
I'm vibing. We're
Yeah.
making moves. Moves are being made, if you will.
I'm making moves right now for those who are only listening. I'm doing the robot. I'm doing
Audio listeners, moves are being made.
doing the wave. That sort of thing. This is going to be a very nonsensical.
Oh, also, disclaimer, I feel like I need to add this because
Yeah.
I do every time we do one of these episodes. This one is not inherently educational.
Well said.
It's just we're goofing, clowning.
We like to goof. We like to clown. I do, yeah, very occasionally, do people in my real life talk to me about the podcast and they listen to it. And I've heard people say that they do like the occasional one where we're cutting up and we're clowning. So
I've gotten similar feedback.
yeah. So hopefully we can perform. But now that there's that pressure, I feel like I have to perform, So will it deliver? I don't know.
Shout out that one time somebody called you out for being on a podcast when you worked at Publix.
Yeah, that was funny. That was weird. I was like, why do you know that? That was good times, man.
I was speaking to a marketing class at a local high school.
Yeah.
And one of the clips in the reel that I showed of what I my introduction reel or whatever was a clip from the podcast. And as soon as it was over, this kid just walks up to me and goes, "Who's that dude on your podcast?" And I was like, "What? Charlie? Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of run this business thing, together. Kind of been in it for a long time." And yeah, I was like, he was like, I work with him at Publix, and I was like,
I hate that that's a thing. I hate that that's a thing.
"Oh,
And not because of the kid. The kid was fun. The kid was great. But man,
Publix."
it was a struggle. It's not even. It's very challenging to have a desire and a skill set, things you want to do that you feel God's even called you to do, and you're just not doing it. That's a very tough thing to deal with and process. I feel like that's been a long-term struggle in my whole life. So when I say working at Publix was not ideal, it wasn't even because of them. It was just because of me.
I'm kind of glad that you brought this conversation up, because this is a direction I want to talk about a little bit.
Mm.
So I don't want to dive too much into it on this episode, because I want to have its own episode for it.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a calling, a thing that has been kind of laid on my heart, laid on my plate to do. And it's big. Like, it feels so far beyond me that, like, it just seems unrealistic to think about. Like, long-term plan, like, one of these, like, it's one of those, like, when I'm rich ideas. But I feel like God's telling me to do it now. And I'm like, dog, how?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because, like, this idea spans into the tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's...
And so that seems a little out of reach, but he keeps kind of putting it...
Just a little bit.
a wee bit. But he keeps kind of leaving it on my mind and my heart, like, you got to get going on this now. And I'm like, I don't know what that looks like. I may be looking at talking to investors. I may be figuring stuff like that out. I think we're making, we might be making it out of the burbs with this one.
Interesting.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm here.
I don't actually even know what you're talking about. So
I haven't even had this conversation.
Right. This is very exciting. I'm learning with everyone else.
But, not talking about it. I'm in my moving in silence phase. Motions happen. Just, you'll know when you know.
Real G's move in silence, like lasagna.
Real. Wise words. And, like, coming soon,
I had to explain that lyric to somebody once. They're like, I don't understand what that means. Well, spell lasagna. Anyway, really ridiculous.
Yeah, no. But, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, I saw a way to do this idea practically and soon. But I realized the way I would be going about it would be very selfish, and I feel like he's laid it on my heart in a way that it's to benefit the people around me. Yeah. And I would have been doing it in a very selfish way. And so I was like, okay, cool, so that's not the move. So we'll see. I actually have, before I just drop the idea out there,
for sure.
I want to have, like, a proper rollout and do videos around it and things like that.
Well, and maybe tell me about it if you
also
feel like it.
I'm in the phase I'm in right now is talking to people about it, talking to people that are part of the company about it, talking to other business owners that have done similar things. But yeah, no, it's out there right now.
Look, man, I've heard it said, and we don't shy away from talking about our own faith on this.
Real.
But I've heard it said before that if the goal you have or the idea that you think God has given you seems attainable, it's not big enough.
Real.
And I think with obviously there's a lot more practicality that goes into that. So don't just think like, well, I'm gonna be a trillionaire because I don't know, I feel like that's too big. But like there's a high degree of faith element in closing the gap from what you feel like you can't reach.
For sure. I actually think it's really interesting. I feel like God has this very, and I might have talked about this before. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but I've talked to you about it. I feel like God communicates very directly with me in certain areas of my life. There's some things where I pray and, I'm like, I don't know, I don't have a direct answer to this. There's always an answer, but I don't know, I don't understand this thing yet or whatever. The one area where he very clearly communicates with me is my finances.
Okay.
It's weird. It's weird, but I'm also appreciative for it. Like when I had first moved out, the company was significantly smaller. I had a day that I owed roughly $800 in rent the following day. And I had $49 in my bank account. All of the bank accounts. That's
scary.
I had just moved out, so I didn't really have like savings or anything like that. And so it's like, okay, cool. This doesn't make a lot of sense. And you know how getting invoices from clients is like it's like pulling teeth.
It can be, for sure.
Can be. There's some chill ones that are like, there's some clients that are literally just like, you've got my info.
Right. Yeah.
Which we love you. You know who you are. Not that they watch this, but you know,
but
maybe they
also, if you ever did, you should know. You should know.
we love you. But yeah, and so it was tight. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, it was to a point that if I was to sell my car and my camera, I wouldn't have the money in time to make the rent. And I was like, well, okay. And I realized because money had been so tight, I couldn't afford to tithe for a while, or I thought so, which is a dumb mentality. I'm sorry. It's kind of like supposed to be the first fruits, not what you can squeeze into your budget. And so I just hadn't done it in a long time. And I was like, you know what? And I was reading the story. I was like, I'm so stressed out about this. I can't think straight. I just like set my phone down. I took my Bible and I went out on my back porch. I was like, I'm going to just read something. This typically gets my head out of a bad place. I open up and it's like the story of the lady. Remember when the Pharisees like tithing all this money and then the lady comes through with like a couple pennies, but it was like all she had?
I don't know if that was a story as much as a parable.
That's
but,
what I mean.
Yes.
That's what I mean. But
yes.
yeah. So I was like, well, and I didn't like find the story. I was just like, God, show me what you want me to see. I opened it to a random page, and that was the first passage I saw, and I was like,
this feels important.
Maybe this is about me not tithing for like 6 months. And so I was like, all right, well, $49 isn't going to help much towards my $800 cause anyway. And so I went on my church's website and I tithed $48 of the dollars, leaving $1 in there so that my bank account didn't force close.
All right.
I was like, all right, well, I did that. I put my phone back down. I just go outside and I just read passages for a little bit. And, you know, my mind's cleared up. I'm a little less anxious. You know, I was out in nature, whatever. I walk inside. 8 different clients who had months outstanding invoices or still had like 30 days left to pay invoices, like thousands of dollars all together in like a 20-minute span had just been paid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
In like, I picked up my phone and it was just all the QuickBooks notifications. And I was like,
wow.
okay, cool. So that's how this works. Gotcha. And so ever since then, I've made tithing kind of like a priority, and it's since then a struggle that close has not happened. Which I mean, like I'm married now, and I don't have like roommates or like I actually have responsibilities and stuff now. So
I mean,
like,
you do have one roommate.
Well, yeah, but like we make out, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's same room and everything.
Same room and everything.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop this here.
That's probably for the best.
But anyways, I want to get her on a podcast. I don't think she would.
Would she do it?
I don't think so. But I want to.
Celeste, if you're listening.
She doesn't. She has not listened to a singular episode of
Maybe
my
she'll
podcast.
listen to this one. Maybe this will be a very special
I'm just going to
episode.
tell her we name dropped her.
Yeah, and then she'll have to find it.
You have to go find it.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, no, and so I feel like God communicates with me very directly in that way, because anytime I've like not done my tithe first, and I'll let that sit on the back burner, and I'll go buy some other stuff first or pay some other bills first, it'll get tight again. There you go. And so I'm like, okay, communicates pretty directly. And so recently, I decided, all right, I'm gonna do automatic tithing now. I was talking to Bars Netty about this the other day. Shout out Brandon, shout out Bars Netty. We got to get him on the pod soon as well. He's a very interesting person.
We love interesting people.
He draws, he raps, and is one of the best video people I know. But yeah, so we're gonna get him on the pod sometime soon. Talk about some drawing, some art, things of the sort. But yeah, and we were talking about this the other day, and about how automatic tithing. We didn't know our thoughts on that, because it just kind of it's just like, because in Scripture it's very clear that tithing is about the heart behind it. You know. Yeah. It's about being cheerful. And so it's is automatic tithing. Is that being cheerful, or is that being?
I don't see why it couldn't be.
Or is that being intentional, or is it at that point just kind of money that you just accept that you don't have? I've been slightly feeling a little bit convicted about my automatic tithing, which is weird because it's like I'm not intentionally, like it's not even, it doesn't cross my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's supposed to cross our minds and things like that. So maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I think there's a reason it's been on my mind a lot, but I think ever since I started doing the automatic thing, though, that kind of direct communication, like I was talking about, I feel like isn't there anymore. And I feel like it's in now, rather than tithing in the dollar amount, it's in my actions. So like that whole thing I talked about a while back, which I mean we'll probably talk about on a pod at some point, where I kind of refocused my goals for the company, refocused the goals for my personal, because I felt like it was going a direction that God hadn't laid out for us. I think that was like kind of step one of it being about what I do rather than the dollars, because it's still stewarding the gifts and the time that he gives us. Because tithing isn't solely a dollar amount.
Right.
It's about stewarding everything he's given us. So I think in that sense, he's convicting me more on the way that I spend my time and the way that I steward the things he's given to me, rather than the dollars. It's like it's shifted a little bit, which is interesting. But I don't know. You ever had anything down that vein?
Down that vein, like in terms of tithing, or
just in general, stewardship, tithing, that type of thing.
Man. Oh man, interesting. Wow, I feel like I'm in therapy.
We have couches.
That's true. That's true. I do. This is a very different direction, but in terms of talking about stewardship, I'm a very, I guess introverted person would be the word for it, and a lot of people would be surprised by that because my personality is not small necessarily, but I'm very, I'm fine doing things on my own. You once talked about how I went because they were showing all 3 Dark Knight films in the theater, and I went to go see it by myself, and you were like, I would never do that. That's crazy.
Also, socially, it is kind of like pulling teeth to get you at social functions.
Sure,
sometimes.
right, and if I'm there, like I'm there, and like I'm present.
But getting you there is a task.
Exactly, and so thank you for bringing that all back together for me, because I recently kind of had the conviction that my mentality has been, well, like, I didn't really feel like if anyone's at a loss here by me not being social, it's, it's me, and that's fine. I can deal with that, Like, I don't mind if I'm the one paying the penalty. But I've kind of realized as well, I'm denying, and not like I'm, hot crap or anything. Like, I'm not the coolest dude ever, and that's not what I'm saying. But there's an opportunity to connect with people and to love on people and to be present with people that I'm denying others as well. And that sounds like conceited, because I'm saying
I get what you're saying, because like I'm not to like pump your ego or anything. But there's some social functions that you haven't been able to be at, and the group consensus has been like, this joint would have been more lit if Charlie was here. So yeah, stop robbing people.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's an active part of
pull up.
This process that I'm doing. I actually go to therapy for real. That's a fun thing to say.
I didn't believe you when you first told me that.
Yeah, no, I actually do, and that's an active goal, is to, to say yes more, to be more present with people.
Yeah, a fun little Charlie fact, and just to kind of like out Charlie a little bit. Sorry, Charlie's whole thing.
Vinny, edit this out.
Charlie's whole thing is like, well, I don't need emotional help. I'm fine. It's cool. It's fine. I
use those exact hand motions too.
Don't have a dad anymore. That's fine. I'm cool. Like,
I use comedy,
There are times I'm concerned, and there are also times, full transparency, that I've got like, I need to have a conversation that involves emotions or deep things, and I'm like, is Charlie the best person to ask about this at the
That's
moment?
a good. I'm glad you said that. That's a good.
Yeah,
That's
I've
a
gotten
good
better
thing to
at
take
it.
away.
But like,
Yeah.
like you've always struck me as the type of person that if therapy came up, you would be like, no, why would I do that?
I was massively hypocritical because, of course, like I think it's great. Like it's a great thing to do, and like get yourself checked. But also, like you go do that. Like I'm.
Yeah.
Like that's not a me thing.
Yeah,
You know?
you said that the first time, but you're like, I can't on this day. I have therapy. I was like, okay, so this time on Thursday, and you were like,
no, for real.
Actually, and I was like, oh,
it's very funny the things you learn that like everyone else has already known for like ever, of like, oh, I think I deflect with comedy a lot. And on the on the surface, it's like, well, yeah, no crap. And it's like, no, I make jokes about, my trauma or whatever. But it's also like my first response to bad things is genuinely to laugh. And then if I think about, why do I think that's funny? I'm like, it's not funny, actually.
Not.
Like, if someone said, why is that funny to you? I would just have to say, I don't know, man.
I just don't know what else to do.
It's just funny. And says, oh, I think that's like probably not a good response to have. I should probably like work on that. I got like 8 of those things now that I'm trying to do.
I also think something hilarious about our friendship here is like we are simultaneously absurdly close, but know so little about each other's personal lives. So like, what's a huge life event or huge life change? Give me an example of one.
Like just in general, or like for me?
General.
You probably didn't know when I dropped out of college. That was probably,
I didn't find out until like 6 months after.
Yeah.
So yeah, prime thing. All right.
Bare minimum.
I practically own a business with this man. Yeah. Have ran one with.
We speak to each other minimum like once a week, usually more.
Yeah, usually more.
Yeah.
There's a like. You have a key to my house. Like, you're the only person.
I have a key to this house, and I had a key to your previous house.
The only person that has that.
Yeah.
Straight up. Like, like, if I die, all this stuff goes to him so that he can keep it running and make sure that, like, my wife has food. That's kind of, like, the idea. You keep it growing so that she can financially benefit from it.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of like, that's the level of trust and friendship that we're at. But at the same time, we know so little about each other's personal lives. I'll be talking to you. I'll be like, oh yeah, did I tell you I did this like 3 weeks ago? And you're like, no, what?
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, that specific instance, I was like, you've been like way more responsive to my text messages and you haven't like been doing schoolwork. Did you drop out? And you were like, yeah, I kind of just like stopped doing stuff like 6 months ago.
Yeah, well, I stopped doing stuff, and then at some point it was like a formal, like I'm never gonna do stuff again. So, or maybe one day, but not anytime in the near future.
And I just think it's funny how close our friendship is, but how little. Like I feel like one day we're just gonna have a conversation and be like, oh, can we go use the pool at your mom's place for a video? And then you're like, oh, my mom moved to Nebraska like 2 years ago. And I'll just be like, oh, I didn't know.
Well,
bad.
Things for us to work on going forward.
We got to get better.
The share of information, I'm certainly trying to work on it.
Or also, mine is, I'll tell you, but I'll just drop something super deep or super important in just a text message. Like, I'll call you about a minuscule text edit on a video, but I'll text you, oh, by the way, I did this. And it's like... Oh,
okay, cool, man.
But yeah.
This got a lot more serious than I think either one of us intended.
Oh, that's why we just get on here and we talk. You know what I'm saying?
We're just vibing. Just vibing,
Vibes all around.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got any big life changes coming up? Anything you're planning on, looking forward to?
I got one coming up pretty soon, actually. Okay. Like in the next hour.
Next out.
Yeah. I think it might be time for it, actually.
Yeah, I think it's time. right, Charlie. So I got my mug.
Yeah. So I'm featured in a more prominent position now.
Yeah.
Basically, during this process, we've been peeling back the layers of, just our psychology and our personality. And now we're going to peel back the layers of my scalp because young men at my age, sometimes, things go wrong. Sometimes your dad didn't have hair, and sometimes your mom's dad didn't have hair. And so you are losing your hair. But before it gets too bad, you can just shave it off. So that's what we're doing. Oh my God. This is real.
You want to say goodbye?
I made my piece. Just do it. Just do it! Anyway, Dalton, so I can't see any of this. How's it going?
Oh, it's looking. It is looking.
Looking down to the bone here.
Yeah.
Dalton's wife is in the hallway right now, just like holding back laughter.
Get some behind the scenes of this.
Dalton,
please.
we've been talking about this for a really long time, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've been talking about this for a really long time.
So let's break down how this has gone. So
yeah.
You were like, yo, I've been thinking about doing this thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, don't. And you were like, I'm going to. And I was like, well, if you're going to, wait till your birthday. And you got to your birthday.
Right.
And you were like,
Yeah, like 6 months ago was the first time I was like, okay, I'm going to turn 26 and then I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then I guess chickened out would be the word, decided it wasn't time yet. And then it's funny because I feel like after that, I started losing a lot more hair.
Because you're stressed about it.
Maybe. That's a possibility. But, it comes off in the shower. Or, like, I wake up and it's on my pillow. And I feel like that happened way more frequently after I, like, kept delaying it. So, And then I said this off the podcast. A wise bald man recently said to me, I said, how do you know it's time? How do you know it's time to do it? And he said, this is how you know it's time, Charlie. It's when you're in the summer and you have, that feels different.
First of all, you're an old man.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Like, do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch this back later. If it's when you're in the summer and you have not enough hair to keep from being sunburnt, but you have too much hair to put on sunscreen. So I was like, bro, that literally happened to me last summer. I kept getting sunburn on my head. So, that's how I know. That's how it's time. So,
Yeah.
how are we looking so far?
Yeah, I mean, you look like you frequent a Martin's. You look like you frequent a Martin's, read KJV only, and drink black coffee exclusively.
Do you know what kind of coffee I drink right now, Dalton?
None.
Oh, dude, you're a true friend. See, we know things about each other.
We do.
This is great because there's one monitor right here, right there.
And it's looking at me.
Right, and so I can see my hand right now. I can't see anything above here.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how this is turning out, which I think is what I prefer.
This is an enjoyable experience.
Has he hit any of this? Yeah, I don't
Not
think
yet,
so.
not yet.
Yeah.
Trying to do it in a orderly fashion so that it's not, like, patchy.
I appreciate that. So anyway.
Speaking of patchy, we got to get David back on here sometime soon.
David, my roommate, also a notorious head shaver.
Yeah.
Him far longer than I.
It's just we're just waiting on Nick to join the club.
Yeah, for real.
Nick, when is it coming off? Huh?
Nick Tate, come on the podcast, get your head shaved.
It's free.
Dude, that's all my hair. That's crazy. It's all down there.
If I pinch you or, like, bite, just tell me.
Well, don't bite me. That feels like less of an accident than if you pinch me.
It is. I'm not going to be having a turn at this.
Dalton, as more of my hair comes off, I feel a greater urge to buy an RV and start cooking meth. It's strange.
I have a line I want to say, but I can't say it on here.
Say it anyway. Vinny, edit this out.
I can't say it. My wife is here.
Okay.
My
Interesting.
body does not allow me to swear in front of my wife. I don't know why.
That's wild, because I've heard you say some out-of-pocket things in front of your wife.
For sure. I'll do it in front of the two of you all day long. It will not let me in front of her. Wow, that is coming along.
I think there's hair in my eye.
Sorry. Was that from me?
Probably, but also when I did that, I can feel it, So only partially.
Yeah, some swirly hair, man.
Yeah, I mean, if it grows out long enough, it definitely curls.
Curly hair,
Yeah, but I don't have enough of it for it to matter. So.
All right, so you want to go past Buzz?
I guess I should see what Buzz looks like, right? I'm scared. Wow.
Yeah.
That's different.
That is different, dude.
I'm gonna say yeah. Let's just go for it. Yeah, I mean, if I feel like I want to go Buzz in the future, I'll do that. But for today, might as well. Definitely pinches a little bit.
Does it? Is
Yeah,
it
not a
pinching or pulling?
Feels pinchy, but not crazy. Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? It needs to do.
Is that really doing anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
It better.
This is so interesting.
You gotta come a little closer. One more time.
We're definitely gonna have to trim this down because it is not uber exciting. But also, I just want this footage.
Yeah.
The last time is there, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, hold tight.
Okay. So, how about that eclipse, huh?
All right. Hot take about the eclipse. All right.
Okay.
I don't care about it. Like, all right. Look, I know science, cool, whatever. This moon moves in front of the sun, whatever. Big whoop, all right? I was more, like, kind of pissed off yesterday. I was outside mowing.
Just for the build-up?
I was outside
Okay.
mowing, and it just got dark. And I was like, bruh. Dog.
Bruh.
I need the light to mow.
Okay, you don't need that much light to mow.
Okay, but I was
Listen
like,
here,
bruh.
you whiner.
I was like, bruh. And then, like, the fact that there's been social media hype around it for, like, a week.
That is true.
And I'm like, I open Instagram and I just put my phone down. And I'm like, no, I don't even want to. I
do
don't want to see this.
we want to talk about the rapture thing?
Yeah, were you shocked? Are
That
you
there-
shocked we're still here?
Flabbergasted, my guy. Flabbergasted. Yeah, totally.
Did I did see one where this guy was like, I'm gonna buy a bunch of inflatable like body dolls and fill them up with helium and just release them.
And fill them up with what?
Helium.
And just
Let him go.
Release them so that people think it's happening.
That's funny. I hope any of this audio is usable, given how close like the buzzing is to me.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay.
Adobe Podcast will do its thing.
Save the day, baby.
Dude. But yeah, no, I'll be the first to say it. I'm an eclipse hater. I mean, I just
Listen,
could do without it.
as a lifelong fan of the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, which
Yep.
I know you haven't seen,
Definitely not.
but there's a big event in the show around an eclipse, and it's very cool. So I'll always be a little excited when there's an actual eclipse. But there's not a whole lot to do around it. I will say this year I had fun. I was with a mutual friend of ours who heard that, you need the special eclipse glasses.
Yeah.
And for cameras, you need a special like filter for that.
Yeah.
He heard that you could use Pop-Tart wrappers as a sort of, I don't know what the actual like term for it is, but the stuff they're made out of like will actually safely filter the eclipse. And you can't look at it long with your eyes just over the Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
But he took a cardboard tube and he like taped the Pop-Tart wrapper on the other side of it to make like a filter for his camera. And he took a couple of really sick pictures of the near total eclipse by using Pop-Tart wrappers and cardboard, which I thought was really satisfying. I was glad I got to see some of that.
Yeah, that is pretty sick.
Yeah. So did have fun with that, but I do get it. It's not a very exciting thing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I was more inconvenienced than anything.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that way about a lot of stuff, though. I've started to feel that way about holidays. Maybe I'm a bad person.
Ah, you Scrooge.
No, like not like okay, Christmas. I get it, but like
Your hands are really warm, man.
Mine?
Yeah. It's kind of nice.
there comes a point,
I don't know if I can just feel more now that there's less hair
Probably.
in between.
there just comes a point though where I'm like, when is all this gonna be over? Like, I just want to go back to default settings, you know?
Oh, okay. I thought you just meant like holidays in general.
No,
Of like, when is the never-ending
no,
stream
but
of
it's
holidays?
like it'll be like, all right, I've heard enough Christmas music. Like, can we go back to normal?
Nah, man, not me. I love Christmas. I love the holiday shenanigans. It's probably helpful that my family keeps it chill.
That's true. Yeah, I have like 5 different family gatherings to go to, and I get looked at funny and made fun of if I don't go to all 5 of them, and it's like the worst.
Well, and yeah, we don't do. There's not a big extended family gathering either.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna get. I'm not gonna get too much into all that. How do we feel?
Pretty good.
Not good.
Yeah.
Patchy.
I miss Charlie.
Oh, like, but is it done? Is it clean?
I gotta get some.
That is such a weird feeling.
Oh, you know what? I know we can do.
Okay. Do you want to reveal your face to the cameras?
Why would I do that when I can just do my hair?
Okay. That's fair.
All right, so
Is it done?
I think you're about good.
Okay.
Hang on.
Mm.
Wait.
This is crazy. Well,
so Charlie,
yeah.
how do you feel?
I can't process this right now.
Does your mom know you're doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I told her today, but I told her the next time she saw me, it would be gone. So.
What? Do your siblings know you're doing it?
I think my sister knows that I was doing it this week. My brother just knew I was doing it soon. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does anybody? I know a couple of our friends have ideas.
Yes. There were very few people who know that I was doing this week, let alone today.
I do know we had a little gathering last week, and Salem walked in and just goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
he still has hair."
Yeah,
and he
right.
was like
They were-
disappointed.
They were expecting we were gonna get a professional, but then we were like, why would we do that when
Well,
we can
Nate's a professional at everything.
when we can have Nate do it? Nate coming up on the next episode of the podcast. Dalton, got anything else before I go look in the mirror? And
Any introspective thoughts based on the lack of hair? Now that you know scalp to sky, you have a much more direct connection with the man upstairs.
Yes, I feel enlightened, like liberated even.
Beautiful.
And my blue arrow tattoo will be coming in soon, so be ready for that.
Awesome. Well,
Other than that, thank you for listening to another episode of Nerds with a Creative Podcast, the only podcast now containing less hair than Jeff Bezos. Goodbye.